Welcome to the beloved community known as UU Amherst. My name is Kate Smidt, and it's been about 1 year since I first came here, so it's my little UU anniversary today. Just like my regular anniversary. Oh, hey, well, wow, okay, thanks. And just like my regular anniversary, I can't remember the exact date, but, yeah, so it was about then, and I came here. I was hoping to find somewhere that I could, pursue and give some more attention to spirituality in my life. That's what I was hoping to find. And when I came here, I found so much more than that, more than I really ever could have hoped for. And I found kindness and friendship and community and belonging, and that's more than I ever dared to dream of. And it's a year later, and you have made my life so much happier and richer, and I'm very grateful. So thank you all. We are a community at many ages and stages of life. We have assisted hearing devices at the usher station and childcare and activities, all at the back of the chapel. If at any time you are having difficulty hearing or staying present to the service, feel free to move closer to the front. There's always plenty of seating up front. Children and youth are invited to leave following the labyrinth meditation to have some multi-age fun and values building, and return for the last song and announcements. For those gathered in the chapel, I urge you to either place your phone on airplane mode, or better, to turn it off completely to free up bandwidth for the live stream. I'm a teacher. There's many teachers out here, and we're all willing to give stickers or even free homework passes for people who turn off their phones. So just saying, if so now would be a great time to do that if you don't mind. And now let's do what we do best. And this is to welcome one another into this time made sacred by our presence together. We're going to try to find a balance between the extrovert's exuberant desire to chat and the introvert's desire to enjoy the quiet. As the music video plays, wander around if you like and offer a silent greeting, a handshake, a fist bump, or maybe placing your hand on your heart, letting the sparkle in our eyes convey our joy in being together.
Hem. Hem. I've lost control. I'd say I lost control, but apparently I never had it. So much for that silent greeting.
It is our custom when we gather to light a chalice. The chalice is a cup or vessel that symbolizes the gathered community. The flame represents the spark that each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. Please join me in our chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of our life together. Each week, as we light the chalice to symbolize the gathered community, we also acknowledge that our church is built on holy ground, land that was nurtured and cultivated and too often soaked with the blood of the first peoples who occupied it before us. We offer this libation as our giveaway, a symbol of our respect for and deep connection with the land.
Our song of intention this morning can be found in the gray hymnal, number 317. The words will also be up front. We are not our own. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together. We are not our own. Earth forms us. Human leaves on nature's growing vine. Fruit of many generations. Seed of life divine. We are not alone. Earth names us, past and present peoples, near and far. Family and friends and strangers, show us who we are. Therefore, let us make thanksgiving, and with justice willing and aware, give to earth and all things living liturgies of care. Let us be a house of welcome, living stone upholding living stone, gladly showing all our neighbors we are not our own. Thank you. You may be seated. Our story this morning comes from the Native American community known as the Abenaki. I might have just left out Abenaki. They are in the eastern woodlands, like in the Vermont area. I left my cheat sheet up there. Oh well. Abenaki. All right, let me try this again. It is on, but it is being covered up. So if I start choking, You all know what to do. Run and hide. Okay. Is that better? Yes. Okay, good. Then you didn't even hear how much I couldn't say the name. That's good. So this is a story about a character that is larger than life, that is part of that First Nations people's tapestry of legends. And that is a character known as Gluscabee. And Gluscabee is kind of similar to maybe a Hercules, but if Hercules were a trickster. So he's like Hercules in that he's larger than life. He is part god and part human, and not really very good at being either of those parts, which is where he diverges a bit from Hercules, makes him more of a trickster. So this is the story of Gluscabee and the game animals. And it came to pass. No, it doesn't really start that way. So one morning, Gluscabee decided he wanted to go out and hunt. Now remember, Gluscabee is indeed larger than life. He is enormous. And so he took his enormous bow and arrows and went out into the woods to hunt. Well, the animals saw him coming, and they said, here comes Gluscabee, let's hide. And they did. Gluscabee tromped around the woods, through streams, through clearings, all day long, did not see a single thing. By the time the day was done, he was stomping back to the little lodge by the big water that he shared with his grandmother Woodchuck. And as he threw open the door, he said, "Grandmother, make me a game bag." And so Grandmother Woodchuck gathered caribou hair, and she wove it together into a beautiful game bag, and she held it out to Gluscabee. And he took it in his hands, he looked it over, and he threw it on the floor. He said, "That is not good enough." And so Grandmother Woodchuck took deer hair, and she wove together a very, very fine game bag. And this time, she flattened porcupine needles and created a really intricate design. And with a tiny bit of pride, she held it up to Gluscabee. He took it in his hands, and he threw it down. "Grandmother, that is not good enough." Again, Grandmother Woodchuck gathered up moose hair and wove a magnificent game bag. This time, Gluscabee didn't even pick it up and look at it. He just glanced over her shoulder and said, "That is not good enough." And so finally she sighed and she said, "Gluscabee, what kind of game bag would you have me make?" And he said, "Make me a game bag made of woodchuck hair." And so Grandmother Woodchuck pulled the hair from her own belly, which is why to this day woodchucks do not have hair on their bellies. And as she wove that hair together to make this game bag, she also wove her love. And this game bag had magical properties, because no matter how much you put into it, it would always stretch and grow to accommodate more. And this time, when she, with a sigh, lifted it up for him to inspect, he grabbed it with joy and he said, "Grandmother, thank you, this is perfect." And so the next morning, he went out to hunt. But he did not take his bow or his arrows. He just took the bag. And he walked through the woods and through streams to a clearing. And when he got there, he set the bag on the ground. And he knew the animals were hiding. And so he raised his voice and he said, "All you animals, something terrible is going to happen. The sun is dying, and tomorrow the world will be destroyed." And so the animals came fleeing out of the forest and said, "Gluscabee, help us. How can we avoid this catastrophe?" And he said, "Well, I have this game bag, and it will keep you safe. And so the animals came as he held the game bag. First the squirrels, and then the raccoons, and the rabbits, and the foxes. And then, as the bag continued to stretch, the bears, and the mooses, and all the animals of the world came into this game bag. And he pulled the top shut, and he tied it tight, and he lifted it onto his shoulder, and walked back through the streams, through the clearings, through the woods, to the little lodge by the big water that he shared with Grandmother Woodchuck. And when he arrived, he very carefully put the bag down, and he called out, "Grandmother, we never have to hunt again. I have in this bag all the animals of the world. And so when we're hungry, we just need to reach into the bag." And Grandmother Woodchuck, with a great sigh, said, Gluscabee, why do you do things like this? Don't you know that with the animals in the bag, they will sicken and they will die? And besides, there is meant to be a balance in the world. Hunting makes you, even you, Gluscabee, smarter. And because you have to hunt for them, you have to search, you have to imagine where they would go. And it also makes the animals smarter, craftier, as they try to avoid you. And that is how the balance is maintained. And just think, if all the animals in the world die, there will be nothing for our children or our children's children. Gluscabee thought about that, and he said, "Grandmother, you are right. Thank you." And so the next morning, gathered up that game bag, went through the woods, across streams, into the clearing, where he set it down. And before he untied the top, he called into the bag and said, "Oh, all you animals, this is your lucky day. The sun did die, the world was destroyed, but I have built it back again. And so you are safe." And he opened the bag, and all of the animals scattered into the woods, which is where they still are. It's one of my favorite stories. I apologize for those of you who heard it 8 years ago. But I do wait a long time before I repeat a story, so. Each week, we bring our whole selves into this sacred time. We bring our joys, our concerns, our sorrows. This table is where we gather. It's here at the heart of the community, and it represents the heart of this community, the container that is created as we come together, making this space hallowed by our presence. I invite you to come forward and to place a stone or a shell on the table labyrinth in honor of all that you bring with you today. Come forward as you will. our hearts all who are suffering, including ourselves. Although we may feel powerless to effect big changes in our world, we know that intimate acts of compassion can ripple out and change hearts and change lives. Please remain seated as we sing our song, Meditation, Spirit of Life, and children and youth are invited to go to their program as we sing. We are a beloved community, a gathering of people who have chosen to journey together, to encourage one another, and to be part of something larger than ourselves and life-changing. Because we aspire to be such a people, we make bold promises about how we will be with one another. Whether today is your first time or you have made UU Amherst your longtime home, or anywhere in between, you are invited to share in our sacred promise. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world. Our reading this morning comes from a piece by Joanna Macy. You may be familiar with Joanna Macy. She has written many, many books on getting into right relationship with our planet. And if you haven't read her stuff, you need to. This is entitled Bestiary. Short-tailed albatross, whooping crane, gray wolf, woodland caribou, hawksbill sea turtle, rhinoceros. The list of endangered species keeps growing longer every year. With too many names to hold in our mind, how do we honor the passing of life? What funerals or farewells are appropriate? Reed warbler, swallowtail butterfly, bighorn sheep, Indian python, howler monkey, sperm whale, blue whale. Dive me deep, brother whale, in this time we have left, deep in our mother ocean, where I once swam gilled and finned. The salt from those early seas still runs in my tears. Tears aren't enough anymore. Give me a song for a sadness too vast for my heart, for a rage too wild for my throat. Giant sable antelope, Wyoming toad, grizzly bear, brown bear, Bactrian camel, Nile crocodile, Chinese alligator. Ooze me, alligator, in the mud whence I came. Belly me slow in the rich primordial soup. cradle of our molecules. Let me wallow again before we drain your swamp and pave it over. Gray bat, ocelot, pocket mouse, sockeye salmon, Tasmanian kangaroo, Hawaiian goose, Odwin's seagull. Quick, lift off. Sweep me high over the coast and out, farther out. Don't land here. Oil spills coat the beach, rocks, sea. I cannot spread my wings glued with tar. Fly me from what we have done. Fly me far. Golden parakeet, West African ostrich, Florida panther, Galapagos penguin, imperial pheasant, snow leopard, Mexican prairie dog. Hide me in a hedgerow badger. Can't you find one? Dig me a tunnel through leaf mold and roots under the trees that once defined our fields. My heart is bulldozed and plowed over. Bury me a labyrinth deeper than longing. Thick-billed parrot, San Francisco garter snake, desert bandicoot, Molokai thrush, California condor, lotus blue butterfly. Crawl me out of here, caterpillar. Spin me a cocoon. Wind me to sleep in a shroud of silk where in patience my bones will dissolve. I'll wait as long as all creation, if only it will come again and I take wing. Atlantic ridley turtle, coho salmon, helmeted hornbill, marine otter, humpback whale, stellar sea lion, monk seal. Swim me out beyond the ice floes, mama. Where are you? Boots squeeze my ribs, clubs drum my fur. The white world goes black. Gibbon, sand gazelle, swamp deer, musk deer, cheetah, chinchilla, Asian elephant, African elephant. Sway me slowly through the jungle. There still must be jungle somewhere. My heart drips with green secrets. Hose me down by the waterhole. There is buckshot in my hide. Tell me old stories while you can remember. Desert tortoise, crested ibis, hook-billed kite, mountain zebra, Mexican bobcat, Andrew's frigate bird. In the time when his world, like ours, was ending, Noah had a list of the animals too. We picture him standing by the gangplank, calling their names, checking them off on his scroll. Now we also are checking them off. Ivory-billed woodpecker, Indus River dolphin, West Indian manatee, wood stork. We reenact Noah's ancient drama, but in reverse. Like a film running backwards, the animals exiting. Ferret, gorilla, jaguar, wolf. Your tracks are growing fainter. Wait, wait. This is a hard time. Don't leave us alone in a world we have wrecked. Joanna Macy's list of endangered species was created in 2017. I did a little research to see what species have been added to the list in these 7 years. The 7 years since she wrote her eulogy for the endangered. Glasses change. In 2018, 5 were added. Granted, all of these numbers are the ones we know about. They included water dog, which is an amphibian, several variations of clams, fish, and the Louisiana pine snake. In 2019, 4 more were added, more fish, and the Western Glacier stonefly. In 2020, 4 more were added. The Eastern black railbird, island marble butterfly, Fisher, and Pacific martin. In 2021, 10 were added. The eastern hellbender, it's a type of salamander, a really big salamander. More clams, more fish, bumblebees, the Sierra Nevada red fox, and plants, the beardless chinchweed, Arizona aringo, and Bartram's stonecrop. In 2022, there were 7 added. They included toads, more clams, crayfish, more fish, more butterflies, more plants. In 2023, 26 were added, including yellow-legged frogs, prairie chickens, pygmy owl, more clams, more pines, more crayfish, more birds, buckwheat, lupine, milkweed, phacelia, thistle, and twistflower, more butterflies. In 2024 so far, there are only 2. It is February. Black-capped petrel and North American wolverine. Attention must be paid. Does that phrase ring a bell? Attention must be paid. It's from Tennessee Williams' play, Death of a Salesman. It's a monologue by Linda Lohman as she demands a moment of honor and appreciation for her husband, Willie, the salesman, who has been undercut and undermined by the whole world, his whole world. And his wife, Linda, demands that attention must be paid. She says, Willie Lohman never made a lot of money. His name was never in the paper. He's not the finest character that ever lived, but he's a human being. And a terrible thing is happening to him, so attention must be paid. He's not to be allowed to fall into his grave like an old dog. Attention must finally be paid to such a person. Today it's not Willie Lohman, although it could be any number of people, any multitude of people caught in conflicts or famines or natural disasters or political coups or on the wrong end of legislation that denies their personhood. They're not to be allowed to fall into their grave unnoticed, uncounted. The long list of endangered species includes some pretty small creatures whose disappearance might be understandably unnoticed. Salamanders, crayfish, thistles. But what about wolves and whales? Rhinoceros and grizzlies? Their absence is keenly noticed. And the unspoken question, what about when it's our turn? When we have ingested the misery of billions of animals, ingested contaminated water. As we approach the 10-year mark, Flint, Michigan still does not have reliably clean water, although progress has been made. In my description of this service in the newsletter, I noted that we are the central actors in this drama, known as the Great Turning. Of all the species on Earth, ours is the only one with the capacity to change course, to make a conscious decision to no longer be complicit in the disappearance of our kin, our family, life on Earth. I promise it gets better from here. I can feel the whole room. You're like, oh no, how many more minutes of dreary? It's okay. I had to bring you down so I can bring you up. Today we begin the intentional process of looking forward, of choosing a future for ourselves and for the planet. Choosing a future might sound like hubris, laying claim to godlike powers, but in truth, it is what makes us human. Maybe you're looking around you and thinking, what can 60 or 600 or even 6 million or 6 billion people do to aspire to and create such a life? I don't have a ready answer for you in case you're waiting for that And here's the answer. But I do have a resource that can give us a starting point, and that resource is hope. In his book, The Great Turning, which I will be accessing throughout this time, David Corton writes, "The capacity to anticipate and choose our future is a defining characteristic of the human species. The recent global spread of communications technologies has combined with a confrontation with planetary limits to present us with a unique opportunity and the necessity to use that capacity with conscious collective intent." He continues, "The defining choice is between two contrasting models for organizing human affairs. Give them the generic names empire and earth community. Empire, which features organization by domination and which has been a defining feature of the most powerful and influential human societies for some 5,000 years, appropriates much of the productive surplus of society to maintain a system of dominator power and elite competition. Racism, sexism, and classism are endemic features of empire. Earth community, which features organization by partnership, unleashes the human potential for creative cooperation and allocates the productive surplus of society to the work of growing the generative potential of the whole." End of quote. And so we begin the intentional process of choosing earth community over empire, of partnership over domination. We are by no means the first in this endeavor. That path is well worn, but we could be the last. I don't mean that to sound dire. We could be the last because we could be successful in building on the good work that has been done by generations of others who yearned for a more just and compassionate world. One shining example is the Earth Charter, penned nearly 24 years ago. Wasn't that just yesterday? So here is the preamble, which is as true today as when it was conceived at the cusp of the 21st century. We stand at a critical moment in Earth's history, a time when humanity must choose its future. As the world becomes increasingly interdependent and fragile, the future at once holds great peril and great promise. To move forward, we must recognize that in the midst of a magnificent diversity of cultures and life forms, we are one human family and one earth community with a common destiny. We must join together to bring forth a sustainable global society founded on respect for nature, universal human rights, economic justice, and a culture of peace. Towards this end, it is imperative that we, the people of Earth, declare our responsibility to one another, to the greater community of life, and to future generations. Indeed, we are at a critical moment, a time to choose the path forward that will lead us out of the paradigm of empire and into Earth community. We are at the Great Turning, and attention must be paid. My colleague, UU Minister Leslie Takahashi, has given voice to the longing of a way forward that is resonant with our values and our highest hopes. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create: a deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a greater generosity of spirit, a deeper joy in this life we share together. Are those not the attributes and goals of Earth community? So how do we get there? It is one thing to have lovely aspirational words to guide our worship, but how do we give these words life? How do we create a deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope? How do we exhibit a greater generosity of spirit? And how do we nurture it in others? Can we really experience a deeper joy in this life we share? So notice that every one of those attributes has been intensified. It's not just to create peace, love, and hope. We aspire to deeper, larger, and more embracing. It reminds me of Jesus' words, that he came so that we might have life and have it more abundantly. Gandhi reminds us that we are not just the recipients of blessings, we must be the blessings. We must become the change that we seek in the world. We must become earth community, not just think about it, or talk about it, or dream wistfully about it. David Corton writes, "The work of the Great Turning is not to fix empire, it is to birth a new era that makes the choice for life, gives expression to the higher potential of our nature, and restores to people, families, and communities the power that empire usurped." You see, empire cannot be fixed. There is no such thing as a kinder, gentler paradigm of domination. That should be a bumper sticker, I think, and a billboard. There is no such thing as a kinder, gentler paradigm of domination. The Great Turning can be nothing less than 180 degrees. I believe that those of us who are paying attention have the momentum and the creative energy to reset the course for humanity and for all life on this finite, fragile, yet remarkably resilient planet. A great turning is different from a cataclysm. My guilty pleasure is dystopian fiction, so I've read all the variations on the cataclysm. But that is not the Great Turning. It could lead to it, but that's a discussion for another day when we're talking about the books we've read recently. So back to Joanna Macy. She says that sometimes the best choice is to let go, to fall apart. It may not always feel like it, but the systems that uphold empire need constant buoying and tending. These systems would fall apart after quite a bit of kicking and screaming if enough of us just decided we weren't going to participate. Joanna Macy offers a path to create the paradigm of earth community that she calls the work that reconnects. She says the central purpose of the work that reconnects is to bring people into a new relationship with their world, to empower them to take part in the Great Turning and to reclaim their lives from corporate rule. So here are the things that the work that reconnects requires of us and is a gift that it can give to us. The work that reconnects provides perspectives and practices drawn from systems science, deep ecology, and spiritual traditions that reveal our interbeing through space and time. It reframes our path for the world reframes our pain for the world as evidence of our mutual belonging and hence our power to take action on behalf of life. The work that reconnects awakens stamina and buoyancy to live with full awareness of both the Great Turning and the Great Unraveling, which is part of the process to get to the Great Turning, and to embrace uncertainty. We should be good at that, but it's so hard. The work that reconnects affirms that our intention to act for the sake of all beings can become the organizing principle of our life. It helps us identify the strengths and resources that we can mobilize in our communities to the self-healing of the world. And the work that reconnects presents the Great Turning as a challenge that every one of us, in collaboration with others, is fully capable of meeting in our own distinctive ways. On the cover of your order of service, and shown on the screens in full color, is what happens when a drop of water, what happens to a drop of water when it is subjected to sound frequencies. Look at the beauty and symmetry of what is created when a small amount of water is introduced to and infused by the power of sound. The drop of water is fundamentally changed, and yet if the sound is eliminated, the drop returns to its original shape and qualities. It is only through the agitation of the sound frequencies that the mandala of connection is created and maintained. I mean, do you wonder why I like it so much when we sing together? We are reinforcing our mandala of connection. We are creating the spaciousness and conditions required to engage the work that reconnects. This is just the beginning of a longer conversation, and perhaps an extended confrontation with ourselves and with the systems that support the empire paradigm. I believe that we need to understand how we can be empowered to choose a different way. As David Corton concludes, we humans stand at a defining moment that presents us with an irrevocable choice. Our collective response will determine how our time is remembered for so long as the human species survives. In the days now at hand, we must each be clear that every individual and collective choice we make is a vote for the future we will bequeath to the generations that follow. The Great Turning is not a prophecy, it is a possibility. We have been entrusted with the most precious gift imaginable, the only planet in the only solar system that we know of that creates and supports life in all of its abundance and variety. We must not fail. We must not be cowed by the specter of empire. We must not be spectators to the great unraveling. Attention must be paid. Everything we know, every hardship we have endured, every joy that has stolen our breath away, has prepared us for the reawakening of Earth community. Our spiritual ancestors and the spirits of future generations surround us, a great cloud of witnesses to this pivotal moment when we enact the Great Turning. That day will come. We will usher it in. So let's make more of this and sing together. It's in the gray hymnal, number 146, and the words will be up front. Soon the day. Please rise.
Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether Some have dreamed, some have died, to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me.
Please remain standing as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please be seated for some brief announcements.
As our service draws to an end, our service to the world is ready to begin. Let me tell you about some opportunities to connect and serve in the days to come. Please join us for coffee and conversation immediately following the service. We meet in the Emerson room, just through the double doors, in the days to come? Well, sure. Or also at the back of the chapel. And yeah. You know, I always tell my second graders to follow along with their finger if they need to, and I think that's good advice. Following coffee hour at noon, we will return to the chapel to hold the annual business meeting of this congregation. Anyone can attend, but only those who have signed the membership book and have made the financial pledge requirements may vote. When you return to the chapel, please enter through the lobby doors and stop at the membership table to sign in and receive a yellow voting card. If you are interested in what is happening with our Green Justice team and the upcoming Living Green Festival in September, yes, planning begins now, see Wendy Scott during coffee hour so you can be added to the Zoom meeting on Thursday, March 7th. Wendy, are you here? Is Wendy here? She's probably at the coffee hour. Social justice activities are ramping up during this election season. There will be an organizational Zoom meeting to UU the votes on March 14th. See Ruth Bowen, Diane Tucker, or Lorraine Marcus for details. More information can be found in the March Forward, our congregation's monthly newsletter. Next week, frequent guest speaker John Snodgrass will return with the sermon topic, Here Be Dragons. We've all heard about the serpent in the Bible, but who are some other prominent snakes in world mythologies? And despite this creature's bad reputation, can it also be a sign of life and peace? As always, see the church newsletter, The Forward, for information regarding upcoming services and events. Since our return to in-person services following the first wave of the pandemic, we have moved away from passing baskets for the offering during the service. Instead, we invite you to participate in supporting the mission and ministry of UU Amherst with your financial gifts at the end of service. You'll find a green basket at the back of the chapel to receive your new contributions, or you can give online by going to our website, uuamherst.org, and clicking on the giving link, or text your gift to the number on the screen. Your gifts and participation are important because we pick from fruits we did not plant. We drink water from wells we did not dig. This is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who come after us. Your generous giving supports the work of this congregation. And now, please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing blessing and remain standing afterward for the benediction.
Travel on.
Twinkle your eyes at one another. Travel.
And remember, I'm your friend.
Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Go in peace.